Welcome back to Collector's Dream Radio. We are having a very special episode today. We're in Miami at the FP Journe boutique. And if you didn't notice, I have an extremely special guest with me, Kevin O'Leary, aka Mr. Wonderful. Welcome back to the channel.
Thank you so much. We're in an iconic boutique for FP Journe, the Miami boutique. This is sheer legend in here. The design of this place and the watches that have come through here, the collectors that gather here. It's a classic situation because there are no watches to buy here.
It's true.
But it oozes watch.
It certainly does, and we have someone to help us out to talk about all this. Pierre, head of Americas for FP Journe. So let's get into it. Gentlemen, welcome back to Collector's Dream Radio. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different than the typical conversations that I had, and much different than the conversation you and I had in New York last time, Kevin, because today we're in Miami. We're at FP Journe, and we're going to talk about all things Journe and collecting really as an overall topic. Big thing of what I do on this channel is gifting, and I think maybe it'd be better to start this conversation off by gifting you guys something to kind of get the
idea.
to kind of get the day started.
It's good for a gift.
Yeah, since
What after?
since Pierre is refusing to gift me any watches, and I'm just on loan here today. But anyway, my buddy Blake Simon started this company, Crook, and his motto is take care of your people. And I think it's just the greatest motto because in the watch world, we don't always get to see a lot of that. And I think it always doesn't resonate with people when it comes to this stuff. So these gifts are from Blake and his company, Crook. Kevin, of course, yours is in classic red.
Yes, beautiful. I like that.
And Pierre, yours in your preferred colorway.
Exactly. You know, this is such a functional gift because I travel so much and I'm always trying to figure out the best configuration on how to pack the watches. This will sit right at the back of my duffel and be great.
Of course. And then you're a Porsche guy now, so this is in the classic Pepita Houndstooth from
Thank you.
Of course.
Very well made, actually.
Yeah,
You
everything.
have the Citroën or the Peugeot version because I'm French, so I don't do Porsche. I do a Citroën.
Citroën.
Anyways, I thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Of course.
That's terrific.
So I think the idea today is to maybe start off the conversation by talking about the difference between owning something and really collecting it. And it's easy to have money and go buy something and not really care about the history or have a passion behind it, but to really collect it, to really love something and go deep on it. That's kind of what I want to talk about today. And I'd love to know maybe from you, Pierre, you deal with a lot of collectors, Kevin included, and you guys make that decision of who gets a watch and not. How do you find someone who's a true collector and someone who's going to really take care of these pieces?
Well, two things. How do we differentiate a collector from a non-collector is one thing. Why collecting? Let's start with the basic question. Why collecting? What's the difference? The thing is, it's all to do with the intellect. So as I told you before, I have a little prop that I use now all the time because it really summarizes everything, which is right here. So we have here a banana with a little dot tip. So I checked in Walmart, a banana is 27 cents. Can you see the little banana? Okay, it's 27 cents. Add half a cent for the dot tip. Let's call it negligible. What's the difference between this banana at 27 cents and this same banana, same duct tape at $120,000? Which, by the way, now just we sold for $6 million. What's the difference between the two? It's the same banana, same duct tape. The only difference is here. What you put in this. Collecting has got to start with because. There's a reason. Owning is, I want to buy this, I buy this, end of story, no problem. It's a consumer. You collect whatever is Camembert box, or it could be stamps, it could be watches. You have to have a reason. This is when the intellect comes in. And that's why it's important. To understand this. Now, how do we differentiate a collector from a non-collector? And it's not me that define it, it's Adam Craniotes, the founder of Red Bar. We had him for Watches and Wonder, the last edition that we had before the pandemic in Miami. I wish he would come back. It was a great forum. And we had him on a panel talk, and we asked Adam, I said, how do we define a collector? Oh, it's very easy. I was with a friend of mine, and I went like this. And he drags on quite a lot. And then I resumed the discussion with my friend. The friend said, what time is it? I have no idea. Why did you look at your watch? Because I wanted to. And many times I'm like this, looking at my watch, looking at the watch, not looking at the time. If you want the time, I'm going to pull out my telephone and say, if you want the exact time as a function, then yes, I'm gonna pull out my telephone, because the telephone is a function, or the iWatch or whatever. This is not. And this is where we're talking about art and finances.
Yeah.
This is where the difference is. Sometimes it merges. In the art world, obviously, it became a real asset division. Watches, I think, is still debatable. I think most of the watches are not asset related. Some of them are, we know this, but that's what the difference is. So that's how we look at collecting.
Yeah. And how about you, Kevin? I mean, you're on TV so often and you collect you collect so many things, and a big part of what your platform is, you know, investment and value in all these things. But you've been a collector for a long time, and I think sometimes that gets missed in people who just watch a short clip of you talking about something that's rather expensive. But you're a true collector, and so I'd love for you to maybe debunk that myth a little bit of, yeah, you talk about value of things. It's part of your platform. You deal with finance all the time. It'd be silly for you not to. I totally get it. But at the end of the day, you're a collector, and I think it'd be great for people to just know and hear from you that you're a collector first. And yeah, sometimes it's exciting to see a stock portfolio go up.
Yeah, I actually, I have a different view, and every collector is different in the way they think, and I enjoy the community of collecting and the debates people have on exactly this topic. And I have my way of looking at it, and here's how I look at it. I don't participate in very often in the secondary market. You don't see me. Occasionally I go to charity auctions and I do pick up some pieces that are unique, but it's not the core of what I'm doing in horology. My view of what a collector is someone who forms a relationship with the maker. And it takes a long time to get that established. It's based on trust. They get to know you, what your styles are. I'm a red band guy. Every watch brand in the world knows I'm a red band guy now. And you know, to me, you've reached the collector status when a watchmaker is willing to make you a piece unique.
Sure.
Because think about what goes into that decision. Are you a flipper? They'll never make you a piece unique if you're going to turn around and sell it.
Right.
Which I've never sold a watch. I never will. Do you respect the brand? Do they respect you? And do they understand that you're doing this with other watchmakers, but that respect is there? And do the other collectors consider you a collector of that mark, of that maison? This takes time.
Sure.
And you only have, 90 years. I hope to live to 120, but it took me 4 decades to become a global collector,
Sure.
to be known as a global collector. And I'm very honored to be able to get the pieces I get today, and the pieces that are coming for me in 2 to 3 years ahead. Whether it's a Journe or a Simon Brit or a one-of-a-kind Cartier or Chanel. You think about a company like Cartier. They rarely make a piece unique.
Rarely.
Rarely. They're going to make one for me. So it's sort of like, that's because my very first piece was a Cartier, and
Sure.
they know who I am. Anyways, I'm very impassioned about it. And lastly, it's all about the dial, and which took me to Journe. There are no dials on earth like Journe dials. Journe dials are crazy dials. They are crazy, crazy dials. They're conversation starters. Every time I wear a Journe anywhere, somebody says, "What is that?" Or "How can you tell time with that?" Or something like that. And my vertical tourbillon drives people crazy. They don't understand what that dial's about or why the watch is even like that.
Right.
That's why it's such a beautiful piece.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, again, it's a testament to Journe as a brand that you have fallen so in love with them, and the rest of the watch community has fallen so in love with them.
Well, they're a controversial brand because Pierre is Mr. No. Like, that's the problem. Everybody that I meet says, "Oh, well, you gotta make a call for me so I can get a blue." It's the same story everywhere around the world. You gotta make a call to get me a blue. And I said, it's pointless.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get a blue.
Right.
Maybe not in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Maybe you will. But I don't know, unless you want to go into the secondary market. And for me, you want to become part of the Journe family, you've got to buy from Journe.
Absolutely.
But here, Kevin, you're defining what we call a top collector. In order to have a special piece or rare piece or unique piece from Cartier, whatever, this is the top. Collecting starts with why are you buying something? How many watches do you have? More than one? Why would you need more than one? Why would you need a watch? You want time. I'm in the business of selling you things that are readily available everywhere. You didn't pay extra on your iPhone to tell time. It came with it.
Yeah.
It's everywhere at the time. So here, if you only look at the time, obviously the function, you lost it. We have to look at the art part or the mechanical part or the history. What I like with Journe is really the perspective. If François tells you it's a new watch, it's not a new dial or whatever, it's a new movement in the history of watches. I mean, this is the perspective is totally different. So for me, collecting is always going back to the intellect. Why do I buy this? And we talked a little earlier, Omega Speedmaster, one of the iconic watch there is.
I have mine from 75.
Okay, so do you have a rocket?
Yeah.
You have a rocket?
Yeah.
Okay, are you going to go on the moon soon? Is that the watch that went on the moon? Is that the replica of the watch on the moon? Because they come out with the Snoopy.
Exactly.
You're not going
So I have the Snoopy too.
but you buy it because it went on the moon.
Yeah.
That's the moon watch.
Yeah.
But you're not going to go on the moon.
That's why I originally bought it when I was a teenager. I mean, I don't know how
It's
old
a
I was.
moon watch. So
Yeah, you
it goes
create
back
this-
to the intellect.
Create the story in your head of what's special to you and what it could be to you tomorrow, the next day, the next week, whatever it may be. And that kind of
That's the difference between Oni collecting. Oni, you don't have to have all the because and the whole shebang of all the background. Collecting, you need to know everything.
Well, and I think that that's the difference here is, social media is a fairly new thing. You doing YouTube and all these videos is a fairly new thing. But again, you've been collecting well before this existed.
Yeah, but I think what happened is, it actually started here. One of the most famous watch videos on all time is Teddy Belzenar and I here when we did this Journe thing. Remember that?
Yeah, I was right here, and then you said
How many million
rabbit hole.
people have seen that? And people stop me all the time, all around the world, saying, I saw that video you would Journe. It was in this boutique.
Yeah.
Outside, too.
Yeah. Let's talk for a second about Journe as a brand and Francois Paul. 1998, 1999, around this time, he introduces the subscription. It's a huge risk, right? Comes to the market, he's asking for 50% deposits from people. People are like, who are you? But he took a risk, and I'd love to know from you how important risk-taking is in watches, because you deal with risk-takers all the time in entrepreneurship and your businesses and Shark Tank. And you've said a lot of times, the number one trait that an entrepreneur should have is being able to pivot. But being a risk-taker is also a big factor. And is that important to you when you look at these brands, is the risks that they're taking and how outside the box they're willing to go?
F.P. Journe founded a new philosophy with watchmakers. He was maybe the first to do the breakout that he did. I mean, there's Roger Smith too, but it's different.
Sure.
Every young watchmaker now wants to be F.P. Journe because he's not really an independent anymore. He's in a new class of a combination of art and science and watchmaking and passion and all this whole, like this boutique, this is like a piece of art itself. And the collectors for Journe like to come to the boutiques, have a glass of wine, talk to other collectors or other Journe enthusiasts. I don't know. What would you describe you've created here? Because I think you did it by accident.
So that's where it worked, because it's organic. What I call the Journe community. We extremely lucky because we have collectors like Kevin, people that I can go on vacation with, people that we can have a blast with, people that can argue with and still be friends. That takes a lot, for two people to argue and still be friends, because it's not personal, it's on the ideas. So what happened here, we realized, and that's why we were in Bar Harbor, one of the best mall there is in the whole world, we failed miserably because we had 600 square feet. So you have three people, like here, we close the store. We feed on the collectors, and the collectors feed on the other collectors. Because, look, let's be honest, we are on top of our world. We could not have imagined that we would be at that stage. I knew all the time that François Paul would make it that high, that big, never. And we're very proud of everyone. Obviously, François Paul first, so he made the watches, so that's the first thing. But when I see Kevin becoming friend with another collector, you can't buy this. I say, Kevin, it's 5,000. Be friend with Cameron. You can't buy from his wife.
I had to pay him $7.
His wife and my wife have lunch now, separately from us, which is perfect. We can have dinner together. We talk about watches, they talk about whatever. Everybody's happy. But that's not easy to create. And then people say, oh, that's a genius. You created, you don't create it. I didn't create anything. They did, and I was part of the community, and it evolved like this. But this is the key thing. And this is where you have collectors. A collector talking to another collector could be Camembert box. We can be passionate about it. We can talk for 2 hours about this.
Sure.
Who gives a shit about Camembert box except the two guys that want to talk about Camembert boxes?
Yeah.
And you have collectors in France of Camembert boxes.
Yeah.
And you have associations and clubs about this. Now you're talking about collectors dealing with a much higher in price item than the Camembert box and much more mechanical. And the history of watchmaking. Without watchmaking, there's no British Empire, for example. Without John Harrison and the chronometer, marine chronometer, there's no British Empire. Watchmaking was extremely important, was a big exponent in the history of humankind. It is less now because of all of this, the atomic clock and everything. So the watchmaking per se, this is a waning function. We know that. It is only becoming now, and that's the only chance to survive, also, by the way, is art and mechanical. That's it. If we don't succeed in this, the watch industry is dead. But so would be the art, the same thing, because art is also not functional.
Sure.
So we still have good hopes.
Yeah. You know, I think a big thing in the community is trust, right? You've never sold a watch, and any brand, whether it's Journe or someone else that you get a watch from, puts that trust into you, and you put that trust into them, that you guys have this mutual agreement that they know Kevin O'Leary is never going to sell a watch. But there is a secondary market, and these watches do pop up often on those markets. How does Journe as a brand put their trust into a collector, right? Because you can only control maybe 1, 2, or 3 things, right? You can control who gets the phone call to buy a watch. You can control if you let them in the front door to put their credit card down, and then you let them back out. And only if they call you and say, I'd like another watch, or I need to sell this watch for a circumstance, can you control that situation.
But let me ask something before you answer, because part of the Journe success story is also the story of Danny Duffberg.
Absolutely.
Danny, for collectors, and you know, George Mayer, like, they are really respected people.
For sure.
And they said to everybody years ago, Journe is happening.
Yep.
And that's basically what happened.
Yeah, well, and they put the money behind it. So
Millions of dollars.
Really have. So that created the second market. Obviously,
Yeah.
the second market was already pretty good to start with, but then they exploded it. And then we had this auction house, Philips at June 20th, 2020, and all of a sudden we have now 7 figures watches, and also everything exploded. So for me, the success was obviously François Paul to start with. Without François Paul and what he's been able to accomplish,
You got to make the product.
there'd be no 1916 to talk about, nor this auction house. But then you have obviously the 19th at that time watchbox that was an influence. There's no denying it, and then auction house.
Yeah.
The thing is also we didn't go crazy after that and went berserk on prices or whatever. We still try to stay who we are.
Yeah. Well, I think the interesting thing that they've done, to mention is, I don't think that they may have created the secondary market against Journe, but they saw a vision. They saw what was happening. They believed in it the same way collectors believe
I
in it.
looked at it and I saw Danny putting his own money to work.
Right. And I think that that's the difference
Like,
between...
not some, millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And
That was a risk.
it was a risk.
risk.
That created one, but that was a risk.
Yeah.
The difference between, let's say, 1916 and any brand, not Journe, is one is in sales, nothing wrong with this, and one is building a relationship. That's why, let's say, if I receive a phone call and say, I would like to buy this watch, here's the money, and we ship it, we never did this.
Right.
Best example, Mr. Francis Ford Coppola. He wanted the residence back in 2009. They said, we don't ship watches. We deliver, so we can explain them. It was a Christmas present, so he's now ex-wife Eleanor said, this is a Christmas present, so let me make the surprise. Come in January, a couple of weeks after. And I did. With this, we created a whole relationship. And I was with Mr. Coppola last Saturday with some friends and collectors, and we greeted each other. There's a relationship. We are very human related.
Sure.
We're not transactional. So to the question, how do we figure it out? We make a lot of mistakes. Some people are very good, or some people have some issues. That's a different way we look at it for regarding.
You must have blackballed some guys from flipping, right?
We do that all the time, and we don't hesitate. But we did this since 2009 when we had the first boutique in America. It's not like yesterday we did this, because François Paul always respected the collector. So if I make sure that this guy here has something that's very rare, don't flip it.
Right.
Now, it is possible. We're not stupid about this. Could be buyer's remorse. Could be Kevin has an opportunity to buy this business. He needs to do this. Talk to us.
Yeah.
Do not surprise
Yeah,
us.
that makes
Talk to
sense.
us.
If I ever was going to sell a watch from a maker,
Talk to you.
I would definitely do that. The thing I was going to say that I've learned, and this is for everybody to hear that wants to be a collector, I didn't realize this till about a year ago. When Journe or any brand blackballs somebody, they think, oh, I've only lost my relationship with that one maker. No, that's not what happens. That's not what happens. It's such a small community that other makers, other brands say, oh, this guy.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Patek won't sell with it. Rolex won't sell with it. They don't say anything about it. They don't say, oh, no, I'm sorry, you're officially banned. But you are banned.
100%.
And you're going to spend the rest of your life in the secondary market.
So when we have these discussions, and unfortunate discussions, that, well, it's my watch. I can do whatever I want with it. Absolutely. But I can do whatever I want. I don't have to deliver a watch to you. You have your freedom. I have my freedom.
Sure. But the circumstance is different if someone comes to you and they're in a tough spot in life.
Absolutely.
And that's a different situation.
I mean, François Paul accepted just for New America last year 4 times. I said, we have this case, this case, this case, this case. I said, why are you even asking me? Of course, not a problem. I said, of course I have to ask because François Paul is micromanaging. He wants to know everything. so no problem. I said, yes, no problem. One guy got divorced. Okay, well, it happens. What can we do? He was cash poor. Okay, I understand. So we had one guy, just imagine also, one guy from Panama, I think, that wrote to us from Latin America. We have a team for Latin America. I said, I would like to buy Economy Blue and Elegant from you so I can sell them and make money. The guy figured out, saying,
That's so good. You should tell them what.
So
You should frame that in here.
we told him, I said, we're so happy that you're telling us the truth. It's so transparent. We really like this, but obviously we can't do it.
Yeah.
We feel sorry for you, but thank you for being honest. But the guy figured out, nobody thought about this. I figured it out.
I'll just ask.
I mean, the worst thing I can say is no. Of
course.
That's the thing. We have too many people that are circling around on this. You have another kind of people that we are, let's say, concerned about. The one that think that, and I don't know if it's the right marketing term, is the, how do I call that? The pride or the fact that the honor of wearing a Journe, because he's the best watchmaker alive. But do you know he's the best watchmaker alive? We just heard he was the best.
Right.
How does it relate to you? And we have this wave of collectors, extremely wealthy sometimes. They say, I can't wear this. I have to wear something that represents who I am. So now we're going back to this collector kind of things, like I'm showing you what I have versus this, which is what we're looking at.
Right.
So we are very careful with these people, and we have a rule in the system, at least in the boutiques, you know, some retail stores that we have around the world might not apply. This is, we are not allowed to sell a watch to a person that does not understand it.
Yep.
Should make sense, no?
Makes sense.
Believe me.
I'm sure.
You buy, and it's a beautiful watch, like a Rolex Daytona. Do you know the whole story about the Rolex Daytona? No, you buy Daytona because most of them because it's a Daytona.
Yeah.
So it's what I call a vanity purchase almost.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
Now, Kevin, you always say how the watches are coming to the grave with you. Maybe you'll have a mausoleum where people can rent them from you.
That Pierre knows, Paul Boutros. His joke is always, I only come to visit you so I can talk to your wife about auctioning off your collection after your dad. I said, thank you, Paul. That's
That's a friend.
yeah. But you know, it's something I do think about a little bit. But I'm very, very proud of my collection. You know, and the pieces that I have, I mean, they're really, really spectacular, and just. It's also very soothing for the mind to get up in the morning and decide, where am I going today?
Sure.
Because I wear 6 different pieces a day. I wear 2 watches every hour of the day. And I switch at noon, and then at night I do a lot of television, and I want to make sure if I'm doing something on CNN, I have 2 different pieces. The same night I'm on Fox, it's 2 different pieces. And now these networks are saying, let's do a wrist twist.
Yeah.
Let's see, you know, what you have on today. And what I'm learning to do now, which I'm very proud of, I'll tell you a story that you might find interesting. In Shark Tank for the last, 6-7 years, I've been wearing two watches on each show. And one of the producers came to me and said, you know, Kevin, we're having a problem with this. You keep wearing these pieces that nobody can afford or ever get because they're a piece unique. And our show is about inspiration of young people wanting to become entrepreneurs. Don't you think you should wear one crazy piece on one wrist and an entry-level piece on the other?
Yeah.
So that when you do all this wrist stuff, you encourage young people. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm very proud of that.
I don't know.
It's-
I think the
it's a great
Scrub Daddy
thing.
guy's doing okay.
Yeah, because unfortunately, there's not a lot of entry-level Journe anything anymore.
No.
Yeah.
And
There used to be.
and impossible to get anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the Elegant was the, you know, there was a
Still-
time. Yeah. So you can't get it Elegant.
I know. We sold that on everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, there was a time when you could come in and say, look, I'll start at the bottom with an Elegant. That's not a bottom watch anymore.
Yeah.
It's a highly coveted, very difficult to get even in the secondary market. It's crazy what's happened with Journe. It really, really
This
is.
thing, if, I always say as a joke, obviously, like if I could hire a shrink on staff, I would make so much money with all of us, is including myself in the crazy collectors.
Yeah.
Because lay down on the couch, let's analyze you. Here's the bill at the end. I would make a fortune because we are effing crazy.
Yeah.
Like I collect number 100. That's my number. Now I would pick up a watch that's not exactly the one or the configuration I want, but that's the number 100. How stupid is this? How stupid is it to wear a red band every time? If I don't have a red band, I can't do this. But that's his DNA. That's his thing. My thing is number 100. So he's crazy, I'm crazy, and that's why we get along, because we can share this craziness and for something that nobody needs on top of it.
Yeah. Well, I think the market in general around watches, whether it's Journe or another brand, they get sour when they can't get what they want, right? So they come up with these theories and
It's
misconceptions.
even worse for Journe.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Journe is a curse to me because I've known as a Journe collector, and every guy I do business with, and even women, very important CEOs or heads of television networks or whatever, they make the assumption that I can get them a Journe.
Right.
We've been through this a few times, and it's brutal.
Yeah.
I have to say to them, look, you're not a collector. You said, what does that have to do with anything? I want a Journe. This is the one I want. Just tell them I want this one. I want to pick it up in Miami next Tuesday. I mean, I want you to give the bad news, not me.
Absolutely.
Like,
Just start putting each other in group
no,
chats.
but it's brutal. It's brutal because a lot of people takes. I have a very good friend now, good friend of Pierre, Jay Suris.
Sure.
Very important guy in Los Angeles.
So, for example, the guy said, I'm not a watch collector, I want one, and I want the Craniotes Souverain, the simplest one possible, and you never see me again.
That's not what happened.
That's not what happened.
No.
But as I think on the first interview, you quoted one of our common friend, Richard, that said, once you know Journe, you fucked. You go to the, I think you mentioned that word.
Yeah.
You go down the rabbit hole.
I think you've sold them 5 now.
Very rarely do we have a collector that's only one Journe.
Right.
It could be the Coronet Bleu because it has a life on its own. Could be the Elegant now. But on the other ones, if there's only one, there's a problem. Maybe he was not happy with us. Maybe the watch wasn't working. Things happen. But the fact that you have only one doesn't make sense. Collector, by definition, is not one.
No.
It's not possible.
Right. Well, and I think there's so many, again, misconceptions about brands and how they operate, and every brand has their neuroses about how they do things, but there's so many misconceptions about Journe and who gets a watch and production numbers and all that stuff. So I'd love for once and for all, on camera, for you to debunk all these myths and just put it out there, because this will help all the guys that you need to say, hey, just watch this video, because...
I think I'll start because I'm a guy that's watched this evolution. I'm very happy to see that Journe is bringing new young collectors into the family. Now, there's nothing wrong with interviewing them and making them learn about the brand and coming to events multiple times. That's what they're doing. Many people are asking me, what do I have to do to get part of these invitations? There's many events. This boutique has fantastic events where you can get educated, where people come in and talk about many topics. But these young guys in their 20s and 30s are coming in here, and because they're going to be the next generation, right?
Absolutely.
And so they're making watches available for them. At the same time, the balance, as I've observed, and I'm very, I'm one of the beneficiaries of this, they respect their collector base. So when a piece like the Tokyo comes out, you got to be a hardcore collector to get that piece. I mean, you must have had hell on earth with Tokyo.
Thank God it was the last limited edition. Because it is not a pleasure for us.
That
You
was-
say,
that
call
was-
me Mr. No, just imagine how many no's I had to give.
No, people were calling me about the Tokyo, and I said, why are you calling me? I can't do anything.
Yeah. Well, the Tokyo is interesting, and I'm kind of fascinated as to why you went there. Besides the limited edition thing, which is really interesting, from a collector standpoint, right? But the Tokyo is not the most conventional Journe there is, and that's what your eye was kind of drawn to when you got started. And I'd love to know what it was about the Tokyo that.
Although the Tokyo dial is pretty spectacular. I mean, there are, I was recently, on a trip with just someone who doesn't know anything about Journe, and I was wearing it on my right hand at dinner, and he looked over and said, "What is that?" I said, "Oh, this is a new release from Journe. It's a Tokyo." He said, "I've never asked you for this before. Sell me that watch." I said, "That's not going to happen. That's never going to happen." He said, "I would really appreciate it if you sold me that watch. That's the only thing I'll ever ask. It's the only watch I ever want from you." I said, "Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Just not going to happen." He said, "Can you get me one of these watches?" I said,
Also, no.
also not going to happen. So I think the dial has done its job.
Yeah. No, it certainly has. It's just, again, it's not what a lot of people think of because it is so limited and most people don't know. It's not what a lot of people think of when it comes to Journe. And,
There's something else with the Tokyo I have to tell you. Everybody that has seen it and looked at it closely has said to me, "It's broken." I said, "It's not broken.
For one.
It's because the sweep it's a 2-minute sweep.
right.
It's a crazy, crazy thing. And everybody asked me, why? And I said, FP Journe. Was there another answer?
Oh, because it's easier to read, because it's like a more elapsed time. But yes,
Yeah.
but I had the same thing. I said, is it working? Because you look at the chrono, it's not moving because it's so. It shows how we are really create a good habit. When we used to see something like this. Same with the elegant. When I have my elegant, because it kind of like stops, after 30 or 35 minutes. In the middle of the night, you pick it up. Say, what time is? No, shoot, it's already. It was 30 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
So it changes a little bit your habits.
Yeah, for sure.
The Tokyo's only been out a few months. It's already a legend with this sweep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of the lore. It's a crazy, crazy piece.
Yeah. But let's debunk some of those myths.
So
because
you had you have two main things, like production. I really want to talk about this, and then how to get a watch, basically.
Sure.
Okay, so we talk about. So let's start with which one you want to start with.
let's start with the one that's, let's start with the one that everyone's always wondering is, how do I get one? What's this wait list? Because the truth doesn't exist.
Use the term that I wanted you to use,
Yes.
wait list. We do not have a wait list.
Correct.
Well, wait list means in our mind, there's a sequence, first in, first served. There's never been a first in, first served at Journe.
It's a wish list.
It's a wish list. It means that if I find a better collector than Kevin tomorrow, I might have a better chance than Kevin. And then we have the relationship after, and then hopefully I can do the two. But I'm always looking, we are always looking for the best collector possible for the brand.
Sure.
Okay. That people say, well, I've been on the waiting list for the Craniotes Bleu for 10 years. I say, well, it might be 20 years, I don't know. And then, so how to get a watch? One thing that is extremely important for us, the word passion. A collector is passionate.
Sure.
I'm going to give you another example, and the guy's going to recognize, I'm not going to mention his name because it's like to show you how crazy people are. This guy brings his wife in his bedroom every Sunday night, opens the set, lays out all the watches, and said, what are the 3 watches I'm going to wear this week? Every Sunday night. And if he listens to this, he's going to recognize himself. And we ask his wife, I said, what about? I said, I have a glass of wine, don't worry, I do my emails, but it's part of the ritual. It shows, I mean, you were talking about which watches I'm going to wear. It's a question.
Right.
So it is important. So because we have, each of us have a collector, and the collector has an advisor. When comes July, this is when we do the main frame of the allocation, not the finished one, but the main frame of the allocation for the subsequent year. We go collector by collector, and I'm asking each an advisor, me included, I'm part of the game. Why Kevin? He wants this and this. Why Kevin? Tell me more about Kevin. I mean, like Kevin I know, but and they know also, but let's say somebody we don't know. And in my advisor, I don't really know him. What's the one?
Right.
Know him for next time.
That's why reputation is so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, imagine that's going on without you there. You're not your own advocate. That the group is talking about you, and they're getting all the information from maybe other watch collectors or other brands or whatever it is. You don't want a single negative mark on your reputation.
No, because it's a question mark.
Yeah.
So like, we have a lot of people, even people that are requesting, I'd like to buy an elegant. Send an email, an elegant. I said, no problem. Go and visit one of the stores.
Yep.
But which one? New York, Miami, LA, or worldwide, I can tell you. And I said, go to this. We old-fashioned. We never, ever, since 2003, we're the first boutique in Tokyo, delivered a watch to a person we don't know. Ever. We don't work this way. We have to go to Tombouctou to deliver it. We go to Tombouctou to deliver it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's very important. This is this. But also it creates a little bit of an issue because if you have to ban a person, obviously because you close, it creates more tension.
Right.
It's more complicated to basically ban a friend than a non-friend. And also, and we realize this here, that's why I created upstairs a private space, because when we're here, today no, we close because for the interview, but let's say I'm sitting with Kevin, we have 3 collectors coming, they might sit with us and talk to, hey, Kevin, which one are you wearing? And then I'm in the middle of like a discussion and we have no privacy anymore.
Right.
So that's some of it. That's why I created a private space. If we need to talk something in private, and I don't want people to say, oh, look, I just got my special request. And then everybody said, can I have a special request? Thank you.
Yeah.
Not easy. Another no and no and no and no.
Yeah, I get it.
So that's all. That's only how to acquire what.
Yeah.
Be close to your advisor. Don't call him every day. Don't harass him. It's not going to. But if he doesn't know you, he's not going to be able to defend you. It's like your attorney, if you want.
Yeah.
That's the guy that's going to defend you. So know your collector. The second one on the production. People say, why are you capping production?
The answer is simple, right? It's a set number for the most part. I mean, a general range. And
Never
yeah,
said. We never put a maximum. Like right now, people say, "Oh, are you still making less than 1,000?" No, since 2020, we did more than 1,000.
right. But I think in people's minds, like they could do 1,500, they could do 3,000, right? But like there's a range of what can really be
There's a
done.
real question that people ask,
Yeah.
and I'll ask it now so we can get an answer from Pierre. Everybody wants to know why the entry-level piece, the Elegant, used to be the entry-level piece, couldn't have 10,000 a year being made. It's a quartz watch. I asked that from that myself. He just looked at me and said, no.
We're very good at no.
Yeah.
We know how to pronounce it, but
That is a good question because that watch could be made in volume.
no. But depends what volume is. But anyway, I'll go back to the elegant question. So the way that François Paul organizes production, and I'm not saying it's better than the other companies. It's just different. So there's no value. Sure. In any company with certain volume, we're not talking about Rechet or Roger Smith. This is like, really artisanal. When Audemars Piguet said, for example, we're going to cap it at 40,000.
Right.
139,998 and a half.
Right.
How did you come up with that number? That's a marketing number.
Right.
We don't know how many they made. Actually, we don't know how many they made before, how many they made the year after. Doesn't matter. It's their problem. We try to make as many watches as possible.
Sure.
But it's one watchmaker. Versus the other companies, we all going to do parts, and these people are going to do the assembly. You can explode the production. But François Paul, as a respect, is going to say, it's you that is going to be from A to Z. It is not good in terms of output.
Sure.
Worst case scenario, this watch, within 3 years of warranty, comes back for repair. It happens. When people tell you we never have a problem with the watches, they're lying to you. We have problems with watches. It's mechanical. It's the nature of the beast. We're going to have some issues. Either nature, human problems, or conceptual, but we're going to have issues. Otherwise, as François says, buy a watch, pay your $40. When it doesn't work, buy another one, and leave us alone.
Sure.
We know that. So don't think it doesn't exist. So it comes back to the actual guy that made it, not the after-sales service. Any other company said, no, let's do the output. It is bad for the short term. It's actually excellent for the mid-term, because if you do the mistakes over and over, first you fight because you don't know how to do it, or you learn from your mistakes. Remember when we did the Babson, learn from your mistakes, learn from your failures. That's the only way you can learn. If you give it to the after-sales service, you don't know that you made a mistake.
That's very interesting, actually.
Yeah.
So
You don't want to be the guy that all your watches come back.
Right. Well, and I think if production was only focused on Elegant and there was no other watches, there would be a ridiculous amount, right?
And again, it's in all the department. But let's say the Craniotes one.
Sure.
One of the easiest, not the easiest for everyone, but easiest for Journe to assemble. Anyone in our the company can do a Craniotes one. Maybe if we only make this, then we make 2,000 of them. It's man hours. We have so many hours, and this is so many hours to produce equals output. That easy. Birkin, Kelly, and Hermes. But they don't call Vietnam and say, give me another 100,000 bags by next week and hang up. It's in-house. So it's all we can do.
Sure.
Not one more, not one less.
Well, and I think the other thing that people forget is that Journe is so focused on, Francois Paul rather, is so focused on the really, really high-end stuff, the one-off stuff, the crazy, complicated stuff that, you can only make so many of, but that's his real passion, is focusing on really high-end watchmaking.
No, this is so because he loves the chronometer. He loves the chronometer.
Well, he loves everything he's made, I'm sure, but
No, we stopped the chronometer. It's a pain in the butt to produce.
Sure.
In terms of the design, in terms of the case.
Manufacturing's the problem.
Even the case
That's
is
it.
difficult.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
the tantalum case is to the level of 600.
I don't even know
compared to 100 in gold.
right. But I think the production of the number of watches that FP Journe could make would be slightly higher if there wasn't also a focus on high-end horology for some of these other pieces.
That's the example. Correct. They say 2,000 kilometers.
Correct. And I think that's what people forget.
If we make the astronomic, everyone and our watchmakers could make the astronomic, which is not true. Some people can do this, some people cannot do this. We have one guy,
Right.
I'm not going to mention his name, he's been doing chronometer for the past 15 years. He can't go to the next level. He's there. He cannot move. So maybe if we do this in that example, and we have over time, maybe we make 50 astronomic. So it's the average between 50 and 2,000, give or take some numbers.
Yeah.
That's the reality of things. Now, we can hire more watchmakers. But we're in the middle of Geneva, so we have to go to Meyrin or the industrial zone. François said, I like to walk to the office. End of story.
Yeah.
Remember, François Paul is not about money. Money is not the end goal. We need Kevin's money, but this is what we're going to do with it. And Kevin, let me show you what we did with it.
Yeah.
So it's also, as a salesperson, just imagine how powerful it is. It's inclusive. You are part of the history of Journe.
Sure.
You buy Rolex, and Rolex is a fantastic company, the product is amazing. Are you part of the Rolex history? Kevin is part of the Journe history.
Sure.
On top of this, he promotes it, so he's doubly part of this. Is a true ambassador. I don't like that word, but it is what it is. Sure. He is an ambassador.
Yeah.
So that's the situation. He's not going to move, so he's going to have more watchmakers.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'd love to know from both of you. Kevin, start with you. You get questions of people asking you, one about Journe specifically, but two about watches in general.
Yeah.
And what's something that you would love for every collector, just one thing that you think every collector should really know about Journe that makes it so special? What's the thing that you tell people when they say, tell me about FP Journe?
They don't often understand my answer, but it's always the same. It's a community. It's a very, very interesting community of very eclectic people all around the world, and it's like a passport. If you own a Journe, you're able to be part of a collection, a very few number of people that understand, a lot about just art. To me, it's almost like collecting contemporary art or modern art. It's different than buying a watch. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain.
Go to a party with your painting.
Yeah.
You're not going to go to a party.
Yeah, exactly.
That's also
It's sort of that's the appeal,
Right.
and so the people that I brought a few people into the Journe community. They've been able to buy some pieces, and now they're crazy passionate.
Yeah.
They call me all the time. What do you think I should get for my next one? And I always say to them, it's not going to be up to you which the next one is. Right. You're going to have to find out what they want to give you.
Right.
Just say you want another watch. They already know what you have. See, one of the beautiful things is if you're not I don't buy the secondary market very often. I talked about that earlier. But Journe knows exactly which calibers I own.
Yep.
so we can recommend one.
Yeah, so I get recommendations all the time. We're going to go in this direction. I have a beautiful piece coming this December. Beautiful, red, of course. But, I was part of the design of it, the decisions on it, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to fit beautifully in the collection.
Yeah.
And that's always exciting.
Yeah, certainly.
It's all, and so that piece will become part of the legacy of the thing. And I don't know. I find this brand is unique, as every brand is, but this one's unique for the sensitive community.
Sure.
So that was a big question that we had, because the problem with what Kevin said, could that be the problem? It's not. You're buying because of the community, not because of the merit of the watch. That being said, because of the people that already buy this and are the part of the community, if you don't talk about watches for the next 10 hours, get out.
Yeah.
I mean, you know the issues of the world.
When we have parties here, everybody's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we all know, like Richard, I'm not going to mention his last name, but we all know this guy. It's a joke every time. Say, we're not allowed to talk about anything but watches. Richard is here, so we're not allowed.
Yeah.
And we're not allowed.
Yeah.
So it's intense. So if you're not really passionate,
Sure.
you're going to come to community and say, I like Kevin, it's nice, or whatever, and he's going to talk about watches for the next 10 hours. Boring. So for us, it's good because they don't come back.
Right.
They're not passionate.
Yeah.
It's a way for us to also to tell.
Yeah.
The good thing is, if you know in watches, let's see like this. One of the reasons why you should buy a Journe, when you tell me about this, he's the best watchmaker alive. period, and I know so much more than you do, and I'm not trying to sell you a watch. I don't have anything to sell, as you know, and as you know. So you have one coming this year, and this one is coming, not 2 or 3.
He knows less than I know about not getting something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to work like this.
Of course. Yeah. I get it.
But imagine, I mean, here's what I tell people when they ask me a Journe. It's very simple. I say, imagine if you could buy a Picasso from Picasso while Picasso was alive, but he had already established himself as Picasso.
Right.
So that's what you're getting with Journe. There's going to be a time when Journe passes. I don't want that to happen, obviously. But
120.
you know what that means? It means that there's going to be pre and post Journe.
Sure.
And every piece is going to go up by 40% on his passing. It's crazy to even talk about that. But that's what collectors are thinking. You may not be aware, but I'm telling you.
Well, no, I mean,
Yeah. Well, the conversations are always relevant is what happens when or what happens if, right? Especially when you're in the situation of someone like
Well,
Francois.
the guy, he is the Picasso of watchmaking. Of course. Now, but not just for the mechanical genius. The dials are fucking crazy. Yeah. Like that's what is so, you can tell from 20 feet away it's a Journe.
Yeah.
You can't miss it because of, the dial, and it just is what it is. It's like, there's very few brands that have that. There's another brand like that, Moser. You can see it and say that's a Moser.
Yeah.
Maybe Moser and Journe are the only ones. I get Rolex, but
you have Xiaomi, you have Cartier.
Yeah, you have the
you have a lot of
people are knocking off the Cartier tank look crazy. You can't be sure till you get close.
That's
But I'm saying when you see a Journe, it's a Journe.
Right.
And I don't know, has anybody knocked off a Journe? I don't think so.
So we had, I offered it to François Paul a long time ago. I was in charge of Technomarine, so we're talking about early 2000.
Yeah.
We had a deal with Sheiner and Rolex, and we had a chef, and we used to go to Canada to demolish watches. At that time, it was Technomarine, so it was totally different thing. But I found a beautiful, a resonance.
Sure.
But the guy was so smart. He loved the design of the resonance. He said, FP Journe, who's this? Tag Heuer. What? He put Tag Heuer.
You're gotta be kidding.
So
Is that piece still around?
but it's a fake one, obviously. And
but it's
Yeah, but do you guys have it at the...
I paid $50 or whatever. I gave it to François, but okay. That was it. End of discussion. I said, you should have kept it because it was cool.
I wish I could buy that.
It would have so
Yeah, I know.
Because I love the idea of let people the name that I know, but with the design that I like.
Yeah.
At that time, FP Journe, we still to
That's
this day,
fantastic.
massive. Nobody knows FP Journe, and we like it this way.
Yeah.
So it's better this way for us.
That's funny.
I love it.
Very funny.
Well, we're going to look at some watches in a second here, but I asked some of the viewers to field a couple questions that would be a little bit more on the fun side for both of you, a little bit more relaxed. So, Kevin, we'll start with you. Someone wants to know, if it was 1998, 1999, and Francois Paul walks through the Shark Tank and pitches a subscription, would you have given him the 50% deposit back then?
No.
See, now you're saying no.
No, it's a great question because
I love that question because at what point does
the watchmaker all of a sudden have the transition where the demand exceeds supply?
Right.
There's that moment.
Maturity.
Yeah,
It's like an artist.
it's like an artist. Very 100 people want to be artists. One of them makes it. You know.
Sure, it's graduation day.
It's a very interesting thing. But that I remember for me, my introduction to Journe was one of the royal family of UAE that called me up, and I was in New York, and I think you remember this day. It's when I met you. He said, "You must go to the Journe Society dinner." I said, "What is Journe Society? Who's FP?" And he said, No. And he's a good friend of mine. He's a master collector. He said, "I'm going to make a phone call for you. Just show up at the boutique." And that was the beginning of the journey.
I know.
But that night, at that dinner, I went out of my mind. I mean, I met all these Journe guys.
But let's be realistic about this, talking about transparency. When you have a collector telling another collector, "You stupid, you should buy this watch," me as a salesperson, I can't say that.
Right.
But when it's a collector to another collector, just imagine the importance. Remember that for the purchase of something you don't need, luxury item, obviously not aspirin because or food, not the commodity. What decides the purchase of a new thing? 57% of the time, if I go back to my research I did it was I think MIT or Harvard that did a survey, 57% of the time was Okay, the next time you go to Milan, you have this guy who's doing shoes. You go and see it. Chances are he's going to go and see it, and chances are, because I know him, he's going to buy it.
Sure.
So, friend. The second one was reviews at like 36%, if I recall. That's the time also at Amazon, they started putting certified reviews, and also they start putting bad reviews on top. Why on earth would you put a bad review on top? Because if the bad review is there, means everything else is true. It validates all the one. If everybody says, we're the best, we're the best, we're the best, you have one review saying, we're excellent, you're going to be careful. Right. The third one was the point of sale, 19%. Fourth, the brand, 13%.
Interesting.
We're the best. What can I say? We're not the best. But now when the collector says that, just imagine your points. So now we have this compounding effect now with the community, and the fact that we have collectors that are super fun. They love to drink, they love to laugh, they love to travel. I mean, we went to Tokyo, like 50 of us went to Tokyo. We didn't pay for the travel.
Trip.
We didn't pay for it. We each paid for this, for have the chance to travel together. Where does this happen? But also, you remember the Journe
What's my argument about community?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
The committee is a lot, and that's what we enjoy also. Otherwise, you buy your watch and you're at home and just enjoy it. What is better if you share it? Sometimes also, when you're passionate, you want to share your passion.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. If they were not passionate, we would be dead.
Yep.
I buy a Rado tomorrow, and nothing wrong with Rado, but it's not my stuff. I'm not going to be excited. Am I going to say, you should buy a Rado tomorrow? It's not my world. Nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying anything, but it's not my world. I want to do something that excites me, that brings, the banana on the table and the intellect.
Yeah.
Well, I want to touch on a topic I want to make sure we cover because it started with Journe. Watch insurance.
Yep.
So,
And you have your own.
yes,
platform.
but the reason it happened, and Pierre's part of this, years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I don't remember. When I went to get my watch insured, and they said, Journe, I said, yeah, I want it insured for replacement value. And they said, can you replace this? That's not easy, right? It's a tough decision. They said, how do we mark to market the value of this piece? We started this discussion because most watch insurance policies, including mine, attached to the home policy, they give you the depreciated value of the watch when it gets stolen or lost or broken.
They also try and get involved to try and replace it themselves, and they don't know what they're doing. So, yeah.
So I actually went to Chubb, the underwriter Chubb, and said, I'm a collector. I've got a problem. I also develop a lot of companies.
Sure.
I'd like to establish a new watch insurance company. VT was my partner that solves for people that are passionate about watches. It took me 3 years. And Danny Gubberg in 1916, when I met with him, he said, this solves a huge problem.
Yeah.
We want to go with you exclusively. Let's start. We'll be the founding.
But explain the principle, because right now it's just insurance. Your principle is brilliant. It's not the insurance job, is the job. I don't need you for job. I can contact them. But your principle is much more interesting.
Yes, but the way it works is you can insure the watch when you buy it right on the point of sale. In 1916, launched last Monday, we wrote our first policy. So you can decide, do I want to insure it for what I bought it for right here? Or would I like to have the software scrape the market auction values every 24 hours and determine what it's worth the moment it's lost or stolen? And I get that. In addition, and this was Danny's idea, which I loved, he said, well, wait a second. Why doesn't it also say where it was purchased? If it was purchased in 1916 and it's now been stolen, we'll replace it. If you don't want cash and want your watch back, we'll send it back to the dealer.
Yeah.
So in a sense, Danny and I designed this with the software guys. We created this product. And when I was at Watches and Wonders in Geneva, every brand is talking about this.
Yeah, but what about the fact that you can basically
Turn it off?
Yes, yeah. That's the main thing.
You know,
Because you don't need to pay insurance if it's sitting in a safe.
You only I travel with 17 pieces, max. That's it. I only want to insure those. I don't need to insure the hundreds of watches that are sitting in a vault in Zurich.
Yeah.
So that I love, and
Because the bank insures it, so.
well, it's really interesting how Chubb stepped up and said, okay, let's work on the code, the technology together. We created a brand. I'm really proud of this product.
That's great.
3 years I've been working on this, and I've spent a lot of money investing in it. But I think it's going to change the industry, and I love the fact that Danny backed me on it, and we're doing this together. I'm going to show it to you guys in 6 months. Have a look at it.
Look,
We'll be sure to put a
I
link in
have,
here.
I have 100 watchers, but I'm traveling, not 17 too many, but like three pictures. That's what I'm doing for along this week. And I'm only paying for this. I already have a contract with job. They're already pre-registered.
That's how it works.
And then why would I pay for the ones in the safe?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
So let me ask you a question. So do you get charged then a premium based on the amount of time that you're traveling, or is it just a monthly premium that you pay
No,
for the
what's
collection?
beautiful about AI now in the watch insurance industry, this is really incredible. So the insurance industry is very regulated. So Florida has a different regulator than Illinois has. The software is able to determine the risk based on a lot of input from AI because of millions of contracts that have been already issued. So it's trying to determine what is the probability of a loss or theft based on what you're doing, what your activity is. It's gotten very sophisticated.
Yeah.
It's very good. And so all you want is most people, and it's amazing, when they walk out of the boutique, they want to know if somebody snatches the bag. That's the number one reason they're buying it at the point of sale. It's insured.
Right.
It's like Apple Care. Click here. And so you choose a couple of, the way it works is at the moment you get it insured, the store is 9 seconds later is issued the policy. It also sends it to you at your email, and it also provides you with a printed copy if you want. And you have decided, do I want replacement value at the date of purchase, or do I want the auction value 2 years from now? You decide.
That's great.
I'm insuring mine for whatever they're worth the moment they're lost. Because most of my watches have appreciated.
Yeah.
They haven't
I
depreciated.
like the fact you can manipulate and make it to your needs and not basically what Chubb is offering.
Certainly.
When you go say, this is my policy, and adhere to it.
No, it solves a big problem
You
for
can
sure.
make
It's
it
great.
personalized.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's amazing. And anyways, I'm very proud of it. And we're modifying it based on, people say, I wish it could do this. I wish it could do this. So I said, it can.
Yeah.
Let us figure that out for you. So we're going to do it. Daddy wanted something very specific for 1916, and we have that now.
That's great.
And then we'll hear from other makers. But anyways, I want that to be my legacy. It's called Wonder Care.
Perfect.
Anybody can go to wondercare.com and look at it. That's great.
I love it. And it's launched, ready to go. People can sign up
Ready
right
to
now.
go. That's
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Pierre, I got a listener question for you. Everyone knows that you love number 100. But let's say Francois Paul came to management today and said, Pierre, I want to make you something that you want, piece unique, whatever it is, and it will have the number 100 on it. I'll make sure that there's 99 pieces of it before. But what is it that you would want?
To get the number 100, we're talking about the Tokyo Chrono.
Sure.
You know that I was not allowed to have one limited edition for my whole life. The Pierre is for collectors. I have 32 Journe.
Yeah.
You didn't get a Tokyo?
So for the Tokyo, I went there. I said, look, this is my only chance to have a limited edition 100. I missed on the Zodiac because I was not allowed to do this. And for a reason that my father thought he was against him, and well, obviously he wasn't because they were good friends, the weekend was 99. What the F you doing? I'm calling the 100. You stop at 99. Like, my dad thought he was like against him, which obviously wasn't possible. You pay attention to this. So I asked permission. I said, if you don't want to, I'm not going to ask again. But if you can, that's fine. And if I do, I'll pay the price like anybody paid. And I would pay in Switzerland, so it would not go through this company. Sure. Would I obviously make some money on the back end because I'm a partner with Francois Paul. I would buy directly over there, but also I didn't want to minimize my quota here, so I added on Geneva's quota, and I was allowed to have it.
Amazing.
100.
That was the
You have the 100 Tokyo.
I have the number 100.
Oh,
That's spectacular.
So what I would have asked Francois Paul is another Craniotes Souverain. The problem that I have with the Craniotes Souverain, that's another thing that we have to mention, there's only one number 100. Whether it's in platinum, in bitonium, zelonium, in fuchsia, whatever you can imagine, there's only number 100. So all my other
you would
Craniotes
think
Souverain,
there'd be 3 or 4 100s.
I know, not with Francois Paul, it's identical, it's the identity of the watch. If I call them and said, I have a problem with number 100 CS, they don't have to ask what it is. They know exactly. So the other Craniotes Souverain I have, they're not number 100. Like the blue one or the new one that we have that I ordered for next year is going to be number whatever. I can do it. So if you can make one with number 100, or maybe put the 100 on the dial, or change to 12 on top and put 100 instead of 12, that'd be fun. But you know what? I would go. For me, Craniotes Souverain is absolutely the best watch possible. And we're going to see some more watches that are much more valuable than this. But if I have to end up with one watch, without money involved. 20 years.
There you have
For
it.
me, the piece that I'm so proud of, Journe, is the vertical tourbillon I have with the red K at the 12. Remember we debated that for a year.
It was complicated. Just for that later was complicated.
Yeah.
Provision and yes, okay.
Let me
and
tell you, that piece is a nice stopper.
Absolutely.
I'm sure others have come to you now. Listen, I'm sure they say to you, do it for me too. Anybody.
Oh, of course. But we, you know, again,
Yeah, let's
let's bring them in.
Well, there you have it. Kevin, Pierre, thank you guys again for joining me on the show today. We're going to look at some watches. Stay tuned for part 2 of this video. And thank you to Kruk and Blake for providing these amazing gifts and cases
Yeah.
for these two. And make sure you check out
I'm gonna
WonderKit.
take this to Dubai next week. This case is.
Let's see a photo of that in Dubai.
Yeah, I'm equipped. You know, that's I don't know what that is.
There you have it. All right, stay tuned for part 2. Thanks.